Hello, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of the Everyday Boss podcast. I am so glad you are here. And today, Cathlyn Melvin is joining me. Cathlyn has a degree in theater performance, a minor in writing, and 10 plus years as an educator, professional actor, and entrepreneur. Drawing on her diverse experience, TEDx coaching and copywriter Cathlyn Melvin helps small business CEOs like you expand your reach, grow your credibility, and shorten your sales cycle by creating your signature power idea and then using it on the TEDx stage and literally anywhere else your business uses words. I love it so much. Cathlyn, thank you for being here. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you.
Thank you. Me too. I'm excited to be here.
Yay. Literally anywhere else your business uses words. So like everything.
Everything. I mean, from your opt-ins to your emails, to your sales pages, to your social media content, to how you introduce yourself at networking events. Everywhere that you use words, you're going to be able to use your power idea. It is so foundational, and it beautifully instructs you on how to talk about your business.
Oh my gosh, that's so fun. So kind of like taking the core of what you do and really developing that thought leadership piece. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So I'm learning something about you because I honestly just was like, oh, she's a TEDx coach, right? Like she's a speaking coach or like a presentation kind of. I made assumptions. I mean, we've chatted before, but like
That's
not
fine.
super in depth. Okay. So I'm excited to learn more about this because I love the concept and the idea around like really being known for one or two things and really being like the best at that thing or the leader paving the way on that concept. So let's talk about it. Tell me more. Use more words.
Yeah, I will. I will use more words. Words are my thing. Thought leadership. Thought leaders don't become thought leaders by having a lot of things to say. A lot of the time we think we have to just like post more or speak more or have all these ideas. And that's really not true. Thought leaders become thought leaders by having one incredibly powerful thing to say and saying it over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And so on my social media, in my world, a lot of the time you'll hear me say that change cannot happen unless we share our ideas. And that is like the sloganized version, the short, bite-sized version of my power idea. But your power idea, we think about Marie Forleo saying everything is figure outable, or Brene Brown saying vulnerability is strength. Those sorts of things are like these little catchphrases that have come out of all of this exploration with which they've created their power ideas. So when I create my power ideas with my clients, we talk about, okay, what's the status quo? What is your vision? What's the utopia that you're wanting to create, and how do we get there? And then we create what I call your manifesto, which is like an essay of the state of the world and what you want. And from there, then we can pull it down into what TEDx would call your idea worth spreading, which is like a 1-sentence, 2-sentence, really chewy idea. And then from there, we can get to that catchphrase, that slogan, that thing that you can use as a book title or print on t-shirts or wherever you're wanting something short and sweet.
Right. So you have to go really, really big and then really, really small so that you have the thing.
Yeah. Because if you start with, okay, I just want something that's like quippy and interesting to hear, it's not going to have the substance that you would have if you did all of the work to create your power idea. It doesn't have that foundation. And we all know, like, a city built on sand falls apart. But on the other hand, if you don't do the work to get it down into that 1-sentence or 2-sentence that you can say really quickly as an introduction to your idea, then you can get sort of lost in the weeds and people will tune out. So you really need both. You need your manifesto, you need your core statement, which is that short couple sentence statement, and they really work together, and they work in different ways across your marketing and across your content.
Yeah. Because if you know the big version and all of the words in the big version, but you also know the small version, you can then quickly adapt for kind of like any situation, any amount of time that you're given, right? When I run networking calls, I typically give people like 2 to 3 minutes to introduce themselves because it's a smaller room, so we have a little more time, and that has thrown a couple people off lately, which has been really interesting. I've had some people come in and they're like 30 seconds because they've perfected the thing that they say every time. And when I was like, okay, but you have more time, like tell us more about your business, they're like,
I don't know. I don't have
I don't
practice
have words.
talking.
Yeah. And it's not like I'm not like trying to put anyone on the spot or embarrass them or anything like that. But it's like, I want to learn more about what you do. So tell us more. You have more time. And they're just like, I don't have anything else to say. And I'm like, okay, nope, that's fine. Like, cool. But at the same time, like, you should be able to adapt how you describe what you do and the work that you do and your offer easily. It should just flow off your tongue. So if you have more time, you just fill in the words.
My first business, my another actor educator and I had founded an arts education company, and we toured across the United States. We put on plays with kids. It was fabulous. And one of the ways that we marketed ourselves was we went to these conferences for like parent teacher organizations and performing arts centers and all of that sort of thing. And so we had set up in how we taught our people to be brand ambassadors. Okay, here's the sentence that you start with. And if they're still leaning in, then you can expand to this. And then you can expand to this, so that it was like really a give and take of reading the person that you're talking to. And if you still have their energy, if you still have their interest, then you can expand it and you can expand it and you can say more about the work that you do. And I think that that's really valuable to be able to do in a networking room, because you don't, like, in an organic networking situation, you don't want to give your, I help X achieve Y statement and then be like, and now I just stare at you because I don't
Right.
have anything else to say. You really need that flexibility, and your power idea creates that for you.
Yeah. Well, and being able to adapt, I feel like both shows confidence, but allows you to feel more confident in how you're doing things. How does all of this, there has to be an element of what you do that really like it ramps up that confidence for people to really digest their, like, all of the brilliance in their brain, get it on paper, put it out there and bring it all the way down. There has to be a lot of confidence building that happens along the way with that.
There absolutely is. So a lot of the time people come to me and they'll, sort of talk around their idea. They'll be like, I don't know if this makes sense. I don't know if this works. And my job in that moment is to synthesize everything. I let them talk until they're done talking. And then I say, okay, here's what I'm hearing. And I, sort of translate their own ideas back to them. And it is so cool. I actually just posted a reel about this a couple weeks ago, last week, a couple weeks ago, I don't know, recently, where that showed a clip of this happening in real time. And you can see my client, the light bulb go off where she's like, oh my goodness, this is actually brilliant. Like, that's my idea. And that's brilliant. And that is so powerful and wonderful for me to see my clients sort of light up and go, oh, all of that stuff that I was saying, yes, it makes sense. Yes, it's impactful. And it all came out of my brain. It's very cool.
Yeah. Those oh, not just an aha moment, really. It's so much deeper than that. It's like I've had a few moments where I've said something and I'm like, okay, hold on, that's brilliant. I have to write it down. Because when you just let the words flow, but they're like flowing in the right direction, then you can surprise yourself with the really kind of like insightful, deep, clever things that just kind of like, whoop, there they are. Grab onto them. Don't lose that opportunity. Write it down.
Write it down.
Yeah. Write it down. Unless you're already recording, then you might be okay. But like to just latch onto that, and but also recognize our own brilliance, because we don't do that enough. But like to actually see it
Especially
and
as
be like,
women, I think that we're trained to let other people have our brilliance. And I've had clients, like, as we go through that process, tell me that they physically have chills when they hear their idea reflected back at them. And I'm like, oh my goodness, it's so beautiful.
yeah. Well, to have someone recognize it and rephrase it and give it back
Mm-hmm.
for it to still feel like yours, it has to be just like, woo, the most magical thing. So
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about kind of like this process for you as the facilitator of things. Like, what is that like for you? Like, how does that impact you and show up for you?
So I have always, I'll say it differently. I have never identified as a visionary. Like, I'm not the ideas person. I'm not the, oh, I have this great vision and I'm going to lead people to going after it. But I work with people with those visions. And as I have done this work, I think I've become more of a, okay, this is my vision personally. But my clients are those visionaries. They're people who come in and they say, look, this is how I want the world to work. This is what I can see in my mind's eye. And so I get to be a conduit for the impact that they are creating. And so like I'm in the center, I'm with them as they create that first little drop. And then I get to watch as it expands and expands and touches people across their communities or their worlds. And that is really satisfying and wonderful. I love it so much.
That's so cool. You know, there's something to be said. I've kind of always held this belief that I don't need to stand on stage in front of millions of people or hundreds of thousands of people. I want to help and support and impact the women that will, right? Like, not in the same way, but by like creating spaces for them to get comfortable and practice. It allows me to like, I like being the woman behind the woman kind of energy. Of seeing them be really successful and to stand on those stage and share their visions. If I'm helping build the foundation around core values and confidence and practicing being visible by experience, I'm on stage with them, right? Like in helping them get there. And that to me, like you can impact millions of people without being the person on the screen, right? Like just by being the person that supports that human. And that's what you're doing, which is such a cool way to help bring other people's visions to life and be,
Yeah.
a little responsible for it existing.
Yeah. And like I love speaking. I love teaching in groups. I love standing on stage and having the dialogue with an entire room full of people. I gave my own TEDx talk in 2021, which is how I ended up then coaching TEDx. But absolutely, I think that in the same way that, like going back to your power idea being your foundation, and you need that really strong foundation, like the work that you do, the work that I do, we are creating the foundation for people to grow their thought leadership on.
Mm-hmm.
And without you providing that space for them to get comfortable with themselves, without me providing the work that I do around ideas and words, it may crumble. They may not be able to build their thought leadership in the way that they want to. And so it's really like we're all a community and we're all a team and we're all helping each other along. And I just think that that's really lovely and beautiful. And I'm very pleased and proud to be part of that hand in hand community.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like as we're two different sides of kind of the same coin, but like it's a real honor for me to be a part of the women who are making a difference, who are doing the damn thing, right? Like I'm doing my thing, and I love it, and I'm locked in, it's all magic. I'm not complaining at all, but like it for me, it's not just about like, oh, this is so nice. Like it's a privilege to me to really be able to help facilitate that, and I know it is kind of the same for you. To
Yeah.
really just like, it's an honor and a privilege to be a part of the journey of these women making an impact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I get to see, usually I don't get to see my clients in person because they're, giving their talks in all over the US or in Australia or wherever they
Amazing.
are. But when their talk comes out online, I get to see their talk because it's, on YouTube or on TED.com. And I get to see how people respond to it, not just in like the video comments, but as they continue to talk about their power idea on their social media. I see people latch onto those ideas, and it is really fabulous to be like, yeah, that is theirs. That is their idea. That is their work, but that I have lifted it up.
Yeah. Well, we talked about it a little bit at the beginning, but like the confidence level, right? And then like refining and honing in and taking a lump of coal idea, putting some pressure, putting some time, putting some, some container around that to really bring it to life as that beautiful, shiny, polished diamond. But there's some work that has to be done to get there.
Yeah.
So there's the big picture, the vision, the manifesto. There's the teeny tiny little micro statement, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's a lot of work that happens in between, but like what are some of the like the aha moments that you see a pattern happening with your clients? Like kind of like, there's this thing that we do and it almost always has like a bing for you.
So when my clients come to me, they usually have like this is sort of kind of what I want my thought leadership to be about. This is what I want my TEDx talk to be about. This general sort of big idea. And I always start, even in my group TEDx program, we start with a one-on-one call because I think that it's really important to have that thought partnership
Mm-hmm.
at first and let them have my individual brain focused on them. And so we'll start on that one-on-one call, and there are a bunch of questions that I will ask. And some of our conversations, like not every client will get the same questions from me, but there's sort of an arsenal that I will pull from, because when I pull out one of those questions, a lot of the time it's like the whole perspective shifts. Now I know what direction to go into. And then as we go, I think that one of the things that happens fairly often that makes people go like, "Oh, wow," is they'll go through what their kind of sort of maybe big idea is. And often I will say, "Okay, you have 4 TEDx talks in there. You have this one, you have that one, you have this one, you have that one." And they'll go, those are all different ideas, and they're all clean and clear and in very different directions. And then it's an issue, and then it's the challenge of like, okay, what do I want to focus on? What
Which
direction do
one?
we go? But they're all interconnected because they were all part of that sort of cloud of big idea that they had in their head. And so even if we go, direction 3 of 4 for their TEDx talk, that doesn't mean that they have to throw the others in the garbage. When we create their power idea, they can all sort of weave together because they are all things that are important to that person and that speaker. And so we can create that really sort of integrated foundation for their thought leadership. And then maybe they'll give their TEDx talk on idea 3 of 4. Maybe they'll write a keynote on another idea. Maybe they'll start a blog series on one of those other ideas, but they all come back to sit on the foundation of their power idea.
I love that. It's so true, because like I bet that if we did my big idea, I could probably walk away with like, here's 800 blog article topics, like right, like
Mhm.
here's here's like 8 or 9 TEDx possibilities, right? Because like when you
100%.
because TEDx used to be like what, like 15 minutes, and now it's down to like 3 or something like that.
So technically, they can be up to 18 minutes.
Okay,
The average TEDx talk is 12 and a half.
okay,
And depending what event you get into, sometimes they'll say, okay, our event is capping them at 10, or our event is capping
right,
them at 8.
okay.
But
But to be able,
technically,
but like, I talk a lot about core values. There is no way in 8 minutes I could take someone through a thing.
you're in.
Yeah, no, there's, unless I'm talking at like 10x speed, and then no one would understand what I'm saying. Like it would be silly. But
And
like,
so you really need that, okay, let's peel it back and peel it back and peel it back. What is that core of what I want to talk about
yeah,
in my 12 and a half minute talk?
yeah, you have to, yeah, it's, I don't know. I was going to say an onion, but I feel like it's so much nicer than an onion. But there's
Some
layers, right? You
people
gotta,
really like onions, Jennifer.
it's true. It's true. I mean, we all love Shrek a little bit. But like peeling back those layers and finding that perfect little, that's the thing.
Well, and like you said, if we had a session together, that you would probably walk away with 800 blog ideas. Yes, yes. When I have a service that I call my Power Idea Intensive, which is where we create your power idea. We have a synchronous, real time conversation. I go away, I draft your manifesto for you. I come back, we talk about it, and then that final session, we also go through. Okay, what are you going to do with this? What is the content that you can create with this? And we actually create a list so that you walk away with, those 800 blog ideas. Maybe we probably don't have time to get to 800, but where you might
that's what
have,
AI is for.
6 months of content already percolating just because of that session.
It's so interesting to me, and this makes complete sense to the way my brain works and some of the work that I do, that like when you pick apart a really good idea and you take it from really good idea to it now is formed into very specific things. As you break that stuff down, there's like little nugget, little nugget, but you're really looking for that big chunk of one. But those little nuggets can become their own little 5-part, 10-part, 2 weeks of content, and capturing those is it's fun. Like it's fun to be like, ooh, okay, well I could do kind of like this over here. My brain, that's just how my brain works. Like it's like a giant spider web of connections.
Yeah.
And
But
fun
not
things.
everybody's brain works like that. And so
Right.
they come into these sessions and they're like, by the end, like, oh my goodness, I don't even know what happened, but I have all these notes.
Yeah.
This giant list of things that I can write about or speak about or create reels about or whatever.
Yeah.
It's magical.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure it's gratifying on your end, but I've also like kind of, I've done it for myself. I've helped other people do it, but when I do it for myself and I see like kind of like the let's call it a family tree from one big idea, and it breaks down and there's all of these connections. I do this when I do blog content writing for people, of like, this is what you are and who what your service is or your product is, and we can talk about it in all of these ways, and then we can talk about this that way and that over here, right? Like, and it just breaks down into like this really probably slightly crazy family tree.
But I'm sure it's navigable.
But it also, there's this moment of like, that is all my brain. Like that's, you did that from my brain. Like that's what? Yeah. That's life-changing for people to really be able to see. It's not just like a really good idea that they think is a really, like, it's not just like, it's a good idea, but I don't think anyone else will think it's a good idea. To see it broken down into all of these magical bits and bobs has to be just like, for some people.
Well, and women entrepreneurs, I think, often fall into one of two different categories. And of course, there's like gray area in between, but either they've always been the visionary, they've been the ADHDer who has always talked a mile a minute, and their whole life people have been shutting down their ideas. They've been saying, can you be quiet for a minute? Or
Right.
why do you always have to think about how things could be different? This is just the way it's done, or whatever. And then on the other side, there are the girls who never spoke up because they were never encouraged to speak up. And so we grow up and we become, we start our career, we become entrepreneurs or whatever. And we keep those sort of wounds with us. And then they come into spaces like they do with you and me. And we're like, no, you actually have some really gosh darn great ideas in your head, and we help pull them out. And the more that you practice that, the more you practice sharing your ideas, the more ideas you're going to have. It's like creativity begets creativity. And also, the more you understand your own value and the value of what's going on in your brain, despite what grown-ups used to tell you.
Yeah. So it's,
grown-ups are old and dead now. We don't have to worry about them.
we are the adults, gosh darn it. We get to make the adult decisions. But there's something really about what you just said about like undoing the downplay of our own brilliance, right? Like I think yes, you create practical magic, like there's practical applications of what you do, but I think really that is the unintentional side result, right? Like it's really just this undoing of downplaying our value and downplaying the magic that we create and
Oh, yeah.
undoing, yeah, like and just owning it and recognizing it and really like that's mine. I think
Yeah.
it's so magical.
Yeah.
How
My partner will laugh at me sometimes. He'll give me a compliment or whatever, and I'll be like, yeah, yeah, I am pretty great or whatever. Like, and he laughs, but like that's 30 years of undoing, of teaching myself that it's safe to be like, yeah, I'm really good at what I do. I know I'm really good at what I do. Whereas, when I was 22, I would have been like, it's all whatever. I like totally squishing myself into some little don't pay attention to me. And I love that I can help my clients move through that too. Whether they're 20 or 40 or 80, we've all got stuff to unlearn
yeah,
and appreciate about ourselves.
yeah. That's the perfect lead into like how do you do this on a like how do you do this for yourself? How do you show up and do this work on a daily basis so that you can show up as the best version of yourself? Because it doesn't matter missions or stages we've spoken on, there's always still the little bit of that like mind monster that's
Mm-hmm.
trying to be like, no, you're not. You can't do this. Shh, you don't know what you're talking about. How do you just on a daily basis integrate all of this stuff so that you can show up for yourself?
I think that one really big part for me is about community. And like, you get that. You run a community. I need to be surrounded by the people who help remind me
Hmm.
that I'm good at what I do, that I have great ideas. And so like my best friend, who was the co-founder of the arts education company that we used to own, and who is now a fractional COO, so she has her own business. Every week we have what we call a micro mastermind. That's just the two of us,
Cute.
and we work through things and we talk about the practical challenges, but also the emotional and vulnerability challenges that we're experiencing. I love being part of mastermind communities. I love having those sorts of conversations with other people who are in the same place in business as I am, or adjacent in one way or another. So that's a huge part. I also, you and I have talked about I'm ADHD, so I have ADHD and autism, which can sort of war against each other
Yes.
in a lot of ways. And so I think part of being willing to work through those sort of imposter syndrome challenges too is being aware of those voices. And it's sort of like meditation, where you're just supposed to like let the river flow or let the clouds pass by. And those two my little ADHD angel and my autism angel, because they're both angels,
Of course they are.
when they have those conflicting but often still like drag you down sort of thoughts, acknowledging that and letting the clouds pass by, letting the river flow, and saying, okay, what can I do to prove that wrong right now? If my brain is saying like no one wants to listen to you, okay, go write an email. Go post on social media. It does not matter if no one wants to listen to you. It doesn't matter if you get likes or not, but through doing that I can prove to myself that I'm going to go out and talk anyway.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out and hear
Yeah.
and spread my ideas anyway. And if it resonates with someone, that's fabulous. And if it doesn't, it's one post or it's one email.
And just because nobody liked or commented on it the day you posted does not mean it didn't resonate. It just means they
Amen.
didn't give you evidence of the resonation. I've been talking about that a lot in my content lately because it's like we share. We are very open. We talk about the things and the challenges in the world and what we're creating. And not everything is going to go viral. Not everything's going to go even mini viral with like hell. I feel like I'm going mini viral when I get 12 likes on an Instagram post, right? Like,
Right.
oh my god, they like me.
And how often do you yourself sit and scroll through Instagram and be like, oh, that's funny, or oh, that touches me, or oh, I see myself in that, and you don't click the like button?
Yeah.
You don't share it with somebody. You
Yeah.
just scroll past it, but it did touch you.
Yeah. Just because there's no evidence, no numbers-based evidence, no metrics to analyze, does not mean it didn't work. That's a whole other conversation. But, you know, I love the idea of saying, of your brain being like, this is awful, you can never be successful at this thing, and then going and doing that exact thing that your brain, right? Haha, brain, you are wrong, and I will show you right now how you are wrong, because I'm doing it. You can't
And I
stop
will
me, I'm
prove it
doing
to you
it.
that it doesn't matter whether I'm successful or not. I'm
Yeah.
going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Because I want to do it.
Yeah. Too much of everything, literally, too much of everything is tied into, well, if you're going to do it, you better make money at it, right? Why do we have to make money at it? Why can't it just be for fun or because of joy? Like, I made these earrings. I play with polymer clay. And when I first started playing with polymer clay, I was like, I'm going to start a third handmade business and start another Etsy shop. And I'm like, I went whole hog on it. And then I was like, you know what? Actually, I kind of hate like most of the process of this. I really just like these 3 stages, and I don't have to monetize everything I enjoy doing.
Yeah.
It was earth-shattering.
If you're seeing the video of this, you'll see I have cat paintings.
They're so cute.
They're all of my gray and white cat. You can see.
So precious.
He looks the same. And like, I just like to paint.
Yeah.
Like to get my hands dirty and do something creative, and I don't need to monetize it. Sometimes people do pay me to paint their pets.
Yeah.
But I don't paint because of that.
Right.
I'm always painting new things regardless.
Right.
So go do something that you want to do.
Yeah. I mean, if we had to sum up this conversation, I think it would be, there's confidence in understanding the big and the small of your idea. And it's all a process. But then also like just do it. Like don't let fear, don't let judgment, don't let not being successful or not monetizing something hold you back from doing the pieces, right? Because like doing a TED Talk does not guarantee that you're gonna go be the next, Brene Brown, right? Like it doesn't guarantee anything. It just means that they valued your idea. But that doesn't mean you even have to go monetize your idea or write a book or change your coaching program. Heck, tell me if I'm wrong, but there are TEDx talks that are just like people who have good ideas.
Yeah.
And that's just it.
TEDx talk isn't about my business.
Yeah.
I was only a few months into my business when I gave my TEDx talk. So my TEDx talk is about my experience dropping out of law school and what I learned from that. And it still helps me grow my business.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
It's not about that. But you don't have to. It's not so serious.
It doesn't have to be perfect. Go figure. It doesn't have to be perfect. Coming from the ADHD and the ADHD girlies. I'm here for it. Cathlyn, what is happening in your world? What are you working on? What's coming up? And how can people connect with you?
So if you are watching or listening to this the day it comes out, this afternoon, I have what I call TEDx Demystified, which is my free intro class all about how TEDx really works. And you can find that either for today or when it comes up again in the fall, September-ish, at rightcatcreative.com/TEDxQA, and that's right, RIGHT, rightcatcreative.com/TEDxQA. So that's one place that you can find me. I am also on, all the social places that you would expect. I'm on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. I also just started Blue Sky. We'll see how much I use that. I really started it because there was one person that I wanted to follow and she's only on Blue Sky.
I do not need another social platform, but I am working on...
I felt too, but then I wanted to follow this person and I was like, well, okay.
I am committed to following through on a Substack idea, but Blue Sky has not captured my attention yet.
So those are all places that you can find me to one level or another.
Amazing.
Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, I'm pretty active.
Yeah, all of these will be in the show notes, so you'll be able to find Cathlyn and be
Wonderful.
able to connect with her and stare at her adorable cat paintings. I love the pink one that's like kind of cartoony, and I'm like, oh,
My goodness. Yeah.
so
And then
precious.
the big one is going to be a big Tucker portrait.
Amazing.
It's been sitting blank like that. But I made that canvas myself. It was the first time I made a frame and a canvas.
That's amazing. That's so cool. Well, Cathlyn, thank you for being on the podcast. I really do appreciate all of your insights and your wisdom and your participation in the community. It's been a privilege to have you jump into my world and share your wisdom. So I'm so glad we got to have this conversation. Amazing. You know the drill, everybody. Go like, go share, go follow, and of course, go build your empire.